Okay, so what am I doing here? Well, it's the response to the consoles versus the emulators. Now, there is no difference between them other than probably how much fun you'd be having with a console or the emulator. Now, I'll tell you this, it's more fun to play on the console because you have it, you own it, and you just play it on your TV and pretty much sit from a good distance and well, you're kind of playing for your life in on the console because it doesn't have save state, and that's what makes it fun. So it's like, oh crap, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta make sure I don't die. And when you do it, it's like, wow, you get that really nice feeling that you accomplished something. Now that's the good thing about the consoles. You're always challenging yourself and trying to survive. And while on the emulator, there's save states, and it just ruins the fun. It's like, oh, there's an enemy, or oh, I know this part. I'm not gonna pass it, but I'm just gonna use a save states. Oops, I died. Huh? Don't worry, I got a save state. Save states just ruin the fun. The emulator, it just kind of ruins it. Unless you're using it for some other stuff, then go ahead. It's not that bad. Now, also, the bad thing about consoles is it will get old and it will eventually die. Like, it doesn't work anymore. I'm not saying it died and then you dig a grave for it. I think that would be pretty funny if someone did. Anyways, yes, the consoles will eventually die and won't work. So then, all those games I have in the shelf, now I can't use them. Now I got to... Okay. Now, okay, where was I again? Yeah, on the consoles, they will eventually die, and then you can't play the game. Then you gotta get a new one. While on the emulator, it won't die out, or at least until your PC dies. And you gotta find a place to store your games on the console, and while on the emulator, you just store it in kilobytes, which are like 71 kilobytes. That's very small, and you can store like millions of games on your computer. And in reality, imagine trying to store a million games somewhere in your house. You obviously can't fill all of it in your shelf, not unless it's so big. Okay, so let's go on to what's good about the emulator. The emulator, it plays games in, plays games in higher resolution now. If anyone owns the Game Boy Advance system, the handheld, there's not the SP. You play any games on there, you notice that the screen is always dark. I really hate that, but when you play it on the PC, it's much brighter, too. Now, also, like I said, it can store a bunch of games, which is good. And also it can play several other consoles, which is also good. And plus, there are games that you just can't find anymore in this world, or it's either very, very hard to find it. While with the emulator, you can just instantly search it on the internet and find it. Although some games, they're protected by the law, so people don't make profit off it. I obviously don't do that. What else? What else is good about the emulator? Okay, let's talk about what's bad about the emulator. The save states. And like I've mentioned before, unless you're trying to have fun with the game, save states just ruin it. And I'm not going to reenact that part. The other bad thing, well, you either play with the keyboard or you play with a controller. Now, yes, it looks like a PS2 controller, but it's a Logitech dual action. Now, notice these two little buttons. Now, I was playing GoldenEye 64 with the emulator, and I really, really hate these fucking joysticks because I can't aim. And while on the 64, there's no problem with it. So that's the bad thing about it, the controller. But you can have those adapter things to hook up to your USB drive, and then yada yada yada, play with that controller. But then you gotta get more stuff, which makes it complicated already. So, bottom line, consoles are more fun, but the emulators can also be fun too. And you can use it for other stuff like recording videos and screen capture. And it's also much more simpler, much like doing reviews. Anyways, stay tuned for more. This video was kind of stupid, wasn't it?